Hi everybody, welcome back. Be sure to like and follow and leave a comment. It really helps me in the algorithm. A lot of people I've danced around the topic a while of how I got in to camming and adult work. So this is a piece I wrote from my book. Originally I was going to do a video and maybe I will, but I think this piece is written pretty casually and it should translate pretty well. So without further ado, let me tell you how I got into it. I started camming at the end of May after I was put on house arrest. I had been sober from 2019 until April of this year. My grandmother died and I went through a bad breakup and blew through $2,000 of heroin, fent, coke, etc. in a few days. I came clean to my probation and got absolutely fucked. I had just finished my first semester of college as a 33-year-old adult. I remember being fucking terrified of walking on that city school campus. I felt like everyone could tell I was different from my tattoos. I was so proud when I finished my first semester. I was 3/4 into my second semester when I was forced to completely drop out, losing all the money and credits, to stay at home for house arrest. I get that I made those choices, but I don't see how this helped me. My PO wouldn't let me apply anywhere but the McDonald's in town within walking distance. I applied online, waited a week for an interview, interviewed, then waited. I waited another week just for McDonald's to deny my application. I then applied at a job holding road signs for construction work. I was on 24/7 house arrest for this and had to get permission ahead of time to leave. This was a logistical nightmare and it took 2 weeks to get through the interview and orientation. I told my probation officer the scheduling worked like so. I would get a text the night before with my location, and I could be gone from 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., depending on the work. On Friday morning, I got 2 texts. One from my PO telling me to report in person Monday morning. She had been coming to my house before this. And a text telling me my first day of work was Monday. I immediately texted back my PO, who proceeded to ignore me. I missed my first day of work and lost that job. Keep in mind she didn't even give me permission to apply to this job. I did it without her permission. So you get an idea of how limited my options were. My family stuck by me throughout all my addiction shit. I moved back home in January 2022 to help take care of my grandmother. I met an awesome girl last August and began dating her. She had a great job, worked with kids, had her own place and car. My family was psyched that I scored such an accomplished woman. Took her to Thanksgiving and everything. We ended up breaking up in March. Sometime around then, I let it slip that she was trans. I figured they knew. The younger woman in my family did. And I've caught endless shit for it since. From screaming matches in the yard with my dad and grandfather calling her a transvestite, saying I disgust them, etc. It's fucking bizarre they stuck by me throughout 7 felonies. But apparently the chick making $25 an hour as head trainer for a region wasn't good enough for a 7-time felon. I tried to make the relationship work for months, but have since given up. I can't reconcile someone saying those things about someone I loved and still care what they think. My ex had convinced me I'd do very well with gay men and encouraged me to try camming while on GPS tether. The first night, I hit top 5 for males on Chatterbait every night. I've never been so successful at something in my life. I have self-esteem issues. I'm fit, but I grew up chubby. And making money off my looks and personality is definitely cool, but I understand what it is. What makes me feel truly good is to be able to support myself, to be able to buy my own groceries, to do something beyond just getting by. To do something on a high level. I even started doing non-adult content on YouTube and got fucking monetized by telling stupid prison stories. I wrote an entire book about my life with addiction, prison, etc., and no one but my mom has ever inquired about it. Because of addiction, living up north, in prison, I don't know anyone socially. The only person I was hanging out with was my ex. She is always struggling with money, and I knew she was open-minded since she sold pictures over Snapchat. I showed her how much money I was making and she immediately wanted to try. Her enthusiasm waned as soon as I started talking about things other than money. She wanted me to walk her through the entire process of signing up. She ended up coming over to my house so I could just do it for her. Plus, she wanted to borrow my family's iPad for streaming. I was already getting pissed that it seemed like she wanted me to do all of the work. Whenever I would try to teach her how to do something, install an app or a bot on CB, make a menu item, etc., she would just get frustrated and tell me to do it for her. Trying to make her menu was like pulling teeth. I asked her what she was willing to do. I don't know. I asked her what she wasn't willing to do. I don't know. Finally, I just copied my menu. She thought my prices weren't high enough. They were. But then got frustrated when I asked her what she would like to set them at instead. Now, I get that I'm the one narrating this story, but I'm not lying about this. My ex can be difficult. She's also pretty abusive, which I'll get into later. But I still have love for her. She's the person who's been in my life the longest. I met her when I first got out of prison in 2015. We dated most of the first 2 years, then just remained friends. She's the person that came with me to Gam Gam's funeral. I know she has severe bipolar, BPD, and whatever else. I also know that's not an excuse for how she acts. I fucked up for years on drugs, and she always kept me around. So I cut her some slack out of love and loyalty. We end up doing a couples show and make out pretty decent. We made $300 in less than 2 hours. I told her that I'd send her half the tokens to her CB account, as we discussed previously. Now it becomes a problem and she wants the money as soon as I manage to cash one of the checks I already have. I was having a problem, though, getting to the bank due to my house arrest. I explained the way taxes work to her. I told her that if I sent her the tokens, she could get the whole $150, but she would owe 25% or so in taxes. She grumbled a bit and let it go. She pestered me to buy her little cousin a small gift with some Amazon money a client had sent me. I'm a people pleaser by nature, and I have a serious problem spending money on women and friends. I love my ex, but I know she exploits this, even if she isn't conscious of it. I concede to her request, and then she tries to convince me to spend another $15 on some algae supplement. She does not take no for an answer. She demands to know why I won't spend the small amount of money. The reality is, I don't fucking want it. Also, I need to save my money to invest in camming. I refuse to elaborate on my why, though. I don't think I need to justify myself for why I don't let her control how I spend my own money. It's a classic Cassie freakout. That's the name I'm going to be using for her. It's fucking sick that you do this. People are going to get sick of you and you'll get old and nobody will care to watch you. She screams all of this at the top of her lungs as she leaves my house. I resist the urge to engage. The next morning she texts me as if nothing happened. Except now she's a tax expert. She tells me that Michigan actually only has like an 8% tax rate. I calmly explain that there are different types of taxes and that state tax is only one, and I definitely researched this and asked my business-owning grandfather, all of which lead me to the 25% figure. She persists, showing me pictures of her pay stubs from a Chinese restaurant. I feel my blood boiling over. The couple's show the day before was a nightmare in every way but the payout. Cassie refused to interact with chat and stared at her phone the whole time. I am very comfortable on camera, but alas, no one cares about the guy in a couple's show. It was such a change of tone from my solo male shows, in which the audience are sycophantic, pandering fans. The people in this show said I looked white trash. Getting Cassie to answer questions or respond to tips was like pulling teeth. Anytime I tried to encourage her, I was met with some kind of mild verbal abuse, culminating in the blow-up at the end. I had already resolved myself not to ever cam with her again before the tax argument. I snapped. Fuck it, I'll send you the whole $150 on CB right now, and you can pay your 8% tax rate. You can pay no tax. You can pay whatever tax rate you want, actually, and explain it to the IRS at the end of the year. Not only does she have my family's iPad, she also has my Nintendo Switch. She tells me if I don't cash app her the money by the end of the day, she's selling both. I consider the Switch to be worth about $150 and consider it a fair deal. Now I don't have a single friend. My mom is supportive of me, which rules. For some reason, she's proud of me for making good money and being successful on my own. She seems to have a fundamental misunderstanding of what camming is, though. She keeps thinking I'm selling dick pics. She actually told me she actually told one of her friends about my success camming, which piqued the friend's interest. She stops by my house one day with her friend and brings her up to my room and asks to explain camming to her. Thankfully, my mom left to run an errand, so I didn't have to talk about it in front of her. The friend texted me some questions over the next few days, which I answered. One morning, she starts asking me about couple shows, and I told her I had had a lot of success doing them with my ex. She then asks if I'd be interested in doing one with her that day, my mom's friend. As fate would have it, her car was in the shop, so she actually got a ride to my house from my mom. We made about $400 in 2 hours and split it 50-50. I think on some level, she might have wanted to just have sex with me, because as soon as we finished the last private, she started freaking out about how my mom was one of her best friends and that she can't find out. We were all covered in sweat, so she took a shower, but she definitely looked a bit frazzled. We told my mom that we had just cammed separately in different rooms. Crazy my mom thought I would have somebody cam in my dead Gam's room. I've never had a lot of attention from women, and this was odd for me. She was a nice lady, and the relationship with my mom didn't actually bother me. We just had nothing in common besides the sex work. I didn't plan on anything more than some potential future shows. Out of the blue one day, she texted me telling me she had to cut ties because of her relationship with my mom. This kind of bummed me out, considering I definitely did not push for any kind of non-professional relationship, yet she still cut me off. This can be a very lonely job. I often don't speak out loud until late in the afternoon when I get on camera. I have this weird contrast of being invisible throughout my day, to my family, to the people at the gym, to the few people on my Facebook. Then I hop online and am showered with praise and money, simply for being me. The juxtaposition of extreme loneliness and parasocial popularity is punctuated by extremely dark moments of home life. I have been diagnosed with OCD, a diagnosis I'm not sure I completely agree with, but I certainly have symptoms. I misplaced a housing application for an apartment the other night and kept wandering around the house looking for it. I've always been like this when I misplace things. I remember Gam would see me pacing back and forth, seeping with anxiety, and insist on helping me look no matter how much I told her not to. I can hear her chair creaking as she struggles to stand up. She was 80 years old, overweight, and still a Marlboro smoker. She struggled simply to sit in a chair and breathe, and the noises she made actually moving around were downright ridiculous. You could tell how much her old body struggled to do these unnecessary services to others. Her wheezing over the sink, slaving over dishes, when I insist to her I will finish them. Her complete refusal to use the dishwasher. I would actually get mad at the frustration she would cause me simply in her selflessness. I begged her to stop helping me look, to let me do the laundry. Audrey, the trans ex, worked in the care field and had a different approach. She would soothe me and try to relieve the anxiety when she saw me searching for something I misplaced. She would make me think if I actually needed what I was stressing about. She would calm me and make it easier for me to drop it. The night of the missing housing application, my grandpa responds by screaming at me. He yells, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" all for going to my car's glove box at 10 p.m. I stopped trying to explain things after the fight out back by the pool, where he called Audrey the T-slur. Fuck them. I just try to walk away and focus on something else. It's a shitty day-to-day living situation, but I stopped caring about what anyone but my mom thinks. Everything changed with when Grandma died. Our relationship got worse and time stopped healing it. It's like he went out of his way to hate me. He has the same level of disapproval for me smoking weed as he does doing heroin. The $8,000 I made in the first month meant nothing. I'm still a loser for not having a respectable job. My grandpa has drank every day for as long as I can remember, and while he never seems intoxicated, I can't help but think the half a fifth or so he drinks a day is fueling his rotten mood. My dad has drank every day for as long as I can remember, and it shows. He only drinks beer, in contrast to my grandpa's liquor, but he has the perma-slurred voice of a long-time alcoholic now. Even when he's sober, his voice is like that. The other day, my grandfather came into a show and screamed a bunch of horrible shit, all based on his absolute disgust of me being friends and dating trans women. The footage is fucking brutal. You've seen it here on YouTube. I think it has the potential to go viral, it didn't, as one of those deeply disturbing glimpses into a toxic household. I got banned on CB for telling someone to talk to me on Twitter. My YouTube success exploded my popularity, and now I have 6,000 followers on Twitter. I got verified on Only, and I'm going to start having pre-recorded content for sale. I got to be careful what I say. www.straightfelon.com. I showed someone from the Discord the footage. He agreed. It's fucking bad. I think this footage, if shown and explained, could get a lot of attention and be used to pump my OF, CB, and other projects hard. I'm considering how I want to handle this. Tomorrow I will know if I'm able to move into the apartment I looked at.
Well, the video didn't go viral, but I did move into the apartment. I apologize for ending the video like this. I was sitting on this footage and I kind of stumbled a lot at the end and had to cut some stuff out. So I just want to let the cord fly on this one, release it. I am going to do a video that's far less formal, like it's not going to be pre-written, where I just tell you more in general about how I got into the gay for pay type SW and content creation. So thank you so much. Please be sure to like and subscribe and check out the website below. I appreciate y'all so much. And I just had some personal stuff come up I might talk about, but I'm going back to a much more regular, like 2 video a week YouTube schedule. So thank you so much, everybody.